Welcome to the Mystic Psychology Podcast. I am really happy that you are here in the space where your spirit meets your everyday life and your energy becomes your guide. I'm Charlotte and I'm here to walk beside you as you reconnect with your truth, your intuition, and the deeper layers of who you truly are. Welcome to this new episode of the Mystic Psychology Podcast. I am super happy if you're here again. And if it's your first time, my name is Charlotte. I'm the founder of the Mystic Psychology Academy. I teach energy work. I'm a channel medium, intuitive, and I teach people to find their unique energetic gifts or their sixth sense to really live their truth in a very grounded way. And one topic that appears a lot of time in spiritual work, in energy work, is spiritual bypassing, or also this never ending story of this longing of being happy all the time, blissful all the time. And that is also sort of addiction to always be happy, wanting to be happy, in my truth, of course. And today, I want to talk about what spiritual bypassing is and how it occurs or might occur in your life. And also, what does it do with your energy? And why is it not so constructive to be spiritual bypassing, and what to do to transform it into a constructive way in your life? Because I know a lot of people who either are scared of becoming woo-woo and they don't go that path of spirituality or energy work, even though they feel that calling, or they are spiritual bypassing and they don't get the healing they're actually looking for in that sector. So when we go into spirituality, when we go into healing, there's something we're looking for, and they're not managing to get there because of spiritual bypassing. And really, I am an expert in spiritual bypassing because when I started my spiritual journey and the journey of healing consciously, I left my corporate job and I was very unhappy at that time. I was depressed. I had anxiety, burnouts, physical issues. So there was a lot of things in my life that didn't work out, and I wanted to change them. I knew there was something more in me. I knew there was something in me that wanted to be seen and lived and actually, wanted to be born out of me. And at that time, I started going to shamanism. I started doing Reiki. I started doing coaching educations, hypnosis. So everything you can imagine, including also meditation and all kinds of other practices. And all these practices are amazing. I love all those tools, and these tools really work. They are amazing tools. But what it really needs after these experiences is also integration into real human experience, into groundedness, into the material world. And what that means is, in my case back then, was that from a childhood on, I was dissociating myself. And dissociating means that I left my body, not consciously, but I thought it was normal. Every time when I was in a challenging emotional state, I just left my body. It was like kind of shutting off and going traveling with my soul, like astral traveling or watching my body or all kinds of things. And it doesn't mean that it has to appear with you this way. And when I went into the spiritual practice, into all these tools, it was like, oh my God, I'm finally home. I'm finally somewhere where I'm understood, because all of a sudden my dissociation, my leaving the soul, was astral travel, was meditation. What it actually it isn't meditation, because meditation is being grounded in the here and now. But back then I mixed up meditation with leaving my body and having visions and all that kind of stuff. So I had permission to actually leave my body, not be present in the moment, and go into other spaces. And these spaces were spaces, like I said, astral travel, not being here in the now, not feeling myself, not feeling my body, not being in the here and now. And what happened was that I couldn't feel my actual feelings. It was kind of like cutting myself off. And I got obsessed with this thought of always having to be good and nice and blissful and happy. And basically, I started to become like this hippie. But like in the movies, I didn't dress that way, but I kind of acted this way. And I used to sit in meditation all day, and I was like, I don't need work and I don't need this. And like, oh, I'm just love and light, and everything is just like birds and butterflies. And yes, who needs like work? Who needs visions? It doesn't matter. We're all one. And, so I went through that process. And until that one day when my bank account said, well, love and birds, all beautiful, but your bank account is empty. So I started to look for a job, and I was very lucky because I manifested myself this wonderful, beautiful job at this amazing coach I used to work for. And he helped me out of my spiritual bypassing, because he came up to me and he's always like, Charlotte, life is here, not somewhere else. Life is here on earth. Don't go. Don't leave your body. Like, come back, come back. And he always used to remind me to come back, to come back, to come back. And even one day he said to me, did you ever think about if you're only love and light and good and nice and you're like this perfect human being? Well, what are the others? Because in order for you to be so good and nice and wonderful, somebody has to be bad, because it means we're living a duality. If you are so wonderful, well, then who is not wonderful? Who is bad? Who's dark? And it really gave me to think. And this was one of the moments where I really realized, wow, being good and being love and light and all that stuff I was kind of spiritually living is actually making exactly the opposite I wanted to. Not the world better, but I was in judgment that other people are wrong and bad. So it was in the neutrality, in meeting things in without judgment, that actually started transforming things in my life. And from that moment on, I understood that I have to meet my emotions, and that I have to meet all my sides, not only the good and the nice and the happy and, all these kind of things, but also the challenging, also the dark sides. And working with my Reiki master helped me a lot, because she was the one who really brought me to those spaces of my, under parentheses, dark side, and helping me to understand that being human means to live all emotions, and that all emotions are part of me, and that all emotions make me to the human I am, and that all emotions are the wonder of planet Earth. It's the reason why we come here, is to experience all this variety in us. And it's not only about being bliss and all that stuff, but it's actually about really acknowledging all parts in us without judgment, without criticism, but with compassion, but with love, with holding space for every single part that wants to be lived in us. And it doesn't matter if it's being stubborn or angry or love or light or dark. It really doesn't matter. It's more about becoming aware what is inside me and giving it space. And that doesn't mean that I go around punching people. No. but it's becoming aware of what is here in you that wants to be lived. And that is what makes us alive. So spiritual bypassing is the term for when we use spirituality to avoid certain parts in us, to avoid the parts in us that are full of pain, full of conflict, full of trauma. And these parts, we just don't want to have them. So we push them aside and we go into meditation, we go into a practice, shamanism, energy work, we go into all these tools, but we don't use them to heal, which we could, but we use them to actually bypass that feeling, bypass that trauma, that conflict, that pain in us. So we use it in a way that doesn't help us healing, but actually avoid the healing. So this is spiritual bypassing. And what it does to us energetically is that it actually cuts us off of our energy, of our natural energy flow. And it causes even more blockages in us, which means that we're becoming less authentic, that we are not living our true self. But what are we actually looking for? We are living to live. We are here to actually live our truth, our authenticity. And by avoiding all these dark places, that pain, that conflict, that trauma, we are not fully living ourselves. So we're exactly doing the opposite of what we actually want to do. So here's the deal. And I always say that in this metaphor, imagine you have two children. One child is like angry and sad and is full of pain and it's crying and it's devastated. And the other child is just light and love and all like bliss and happiness and it's all cute. Would you tell that angry child, and just imagine that for a moment, you are wrong, you are bad, you are not good enough, you are really like, I don't want you? Imagine that. And imagine what that child would do if you would tell them, I don't want you. I want to get rid of you. You are bad. You are not good enough. What would that child do? So most of the times, this child would start either getting even louder or scream or get attention or do something in order to become seen and heard and healed. Because what does that child want? Exactly like every other child, love and compassion and somebody who listens. And that's exactly how you are. You have both these children in you. You have that happy and blissful and wonderful, like, yes, which is a judgment, wonderful. So forget that. But it's this like child that is super blissed and happy. But you also have that wonderful, and I'm saying it now, wonderful, because both are, child in you that is unhappy and scared and angry. And yes, it was like, it wants to cry and it wants to be frustrated and it doesn't know where to go and maybe has conflict in itself and feels lost and so many other things. So you have both these children in you, and the question is, if you see it in the metaphor with a child, why would you treat a child? Most people say, I would go and hug it or kind of give it attention. Why would you do it for a child but not for yourself? And why do you judge yourself for having that child in you and having that parts in you? Because what makes you really complete and what makes you fully yourself are both those children, are both those parts in you. So what is super important is that also when learning tools like shamanism, like energy work, like I teach, I always teach my participant to acknowledge all emotions, to really become aware of what wants to live, being lived in you, and give it space, because that's when energy starts to flow. That's when things start to deblock them, so heal. That's when you have the possibility of becoming whole in yourself and actually experiencing truth and authenticity. And it's only then when you stop judging these parts. So you can go to 2 episodes of mine I've already recorded, the episode of shadow work and also the episode of the full body scan, which will help you to understand how to work with those parts in yourself. Because it is so important to understand that spiritual bypassing is just fear of actually vulnerability, fear of what's going to happen. Will I manage to feel that feeling? Is it going to be too much for me when I go into that uncomfortable feeling? Will I manage that? What will happen when I really change? Because in order to change, you really have to go to these deep spaces. And I'm telling you something, if you think that change and that spirituality is only light and love and haha and floating around, it's not that. Spirituality means to really embody human life, to experience human life in its fullest, in a presence, to become fully aware. This is actual, really lived spirituality and also energy work. And it's the fundament of energy work. So change is not always easy. So many participants or people come to me and they're like, oh, I want to change. I want to become a different person. I want to heal. But please, no uncomfortable feelings. And please, no, I don't want to go to my dark side. And oh, yes, I don't want to feel broken and lost and anything. I just want to wake up and be happy. Well, if you just want to wake up and be happy, then that's spiritual bypassing. Because the truth is, change is uncomfortable. And if you really mean it with becoming a better person, what so many people want, if you really mean it to become a great energy worker, if you really mean it to walk the path of awareness or spirituality, then you have to make yourself open to feel uncomfortable situations, emotions, feelings, because this is what it takes to become a new you, a better you, a truthful you, an authentic you. Because I'm telling you from my own experience, every time I change, it's like a death process. It's like I am dying because something in me is actually dying. My ego, my mind, my truth from the past is no longer true. And in this moment, everything falls apart. And the moment everything falls apart, there is nothing. And this feeling of void and nothingness is very difficult and uncomfortable. There's a feeling of feeling lost and dark and alone. But then there's birth. And that's when that feeling comes of new, and the new is here, and it's wonderful, and there is bliss and happiness. But everything of this is valid, and everything of that is important. It's just about stopping to judge what is right and wrong, but acknowledging that everything is part of the process. Spiritual bypassing is really something that keeps you from becoming who you truly are. And this is when people say, I don't want to become woo-woo, because then you're just like this, but you lose the connection to life. So I invite you to ask yourself deeply, what am I avoiding to feel? What am I avoiding in my life where I think that is dark or low vibration? Because that's another thing, what people say. I don't want to become low vibration. Well, low vibration is a part of you. And if you don't look at low vibration, many people define low vibration as emotions like anger, sadness, and all these kind of things. But the thing is that vibration is stored in your energy field. And if you don't acknowledge what is there, anger, sadness, and so on, and it doesn't get transformed in your energy field, then the only thing you're doing is you're avoiding it. You're still storing it in your energy field. And actually, it's even getting bigger because you're trying to avoid it. It's like that little child that doesn't get the attention and the love because it's angry, so it will get even more angry. And that is exactly what's happening with you. And so your energy field is actually storing all that, and you're still expressing it, but just unconsciously instead of consciously. So to raise your vibration in spiritual terms, it means to acknowledge what is there, to become aware what is there, and to start transforming and deciding consciously, what do I want to live? So again, here are my questions for you. What are you avoiding? What feelings, what emotions are you avoiding? What do you consider dark, what you are avoiding? What is it that you don't want to be confronted with? Conflicts, things that trigger you. What is it? Because all these things make you aware of your shadows, of your under parentheses dark side that wants to be acknowledged. So thank you for listening and for being there. I see you, I feel you, and I hear you. And please become aware that all your parts are wonderful and they're all here for a purpose and they're all here to be experienced. And that is what makes life so beautiful and colorful, and that makes you you. So go on that journey of self-exploration and have a wonderful day. Thank you for being here, for your time, for listening, and showing up for your own personal path. If something touched you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. And make sure to subscribe and get my weekly newsletter. You can always go deeper at mystic-psychology.com or find me on Instagram. I'd really love to connect to you in person, read your comments and messages. So until next time, stay close to your soul and trust what you feel, follow your intuition, and I can't wait to connect with you again.